When anxiety strikes, it doesn't always arrive with warning. Sometimes it's a racing heart before a big meeting. Sometimes it's lying awake at night, replaying every mistake you think you made. Sometimes it's just a quiet sense of dread, as if something is wrong, even if you can't name it. And in those moments, we reach for comfort. We do what feels safe, what feels familiar. But here's the painful truth. Many of the things you do when you're anxious don't calm you down. They feed the anxiety, making it stronger. Today, we'll uncover 10 toxic habits that secretly make anxiety worse, and more importantly, how to break them. Because peace doesn't come from ignoring anxiety. It comes from understanding it and learning to respond differently. When anxiety rises, your mind rushes into the future. You start rehearsing conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, trying to prepare for every possible outcome. And you convince yourself this is control, that if you just think hard enough, you'll avoid the pain. But overthinking is quicksand. The harder you struggle, the deeper you sink. The fix is not to solve the future, it's to anchor into the present. Next time your mind spins out, pause and name 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. That small exercise pulls you out of the imagined future and drops you into the only place you actually have power, this moment. The second toxic habit is reaching for your phone, scrolling through feeds, searching for distractions, drowning the mind in noise. And for a few minutes, it feels like relief. But every swipe, every notification, trains your brain to crave stimulation, not peace. Your nervous system gets hijacked, and instead of calming down, it ramps up. The fix: replace scrolling with stillness. It doesn't need to be long. Set a 3-minute timer. Put your phone face down and simply breathe. Yes, it feels uncomfortable at first. That's because your mind has been conditioned to run from silence. But that silence, that's where your nervous system actually resets. Anxiety often comes with a cruel companion: self-criticism. The voice in your head says, "You're weak. You should handle this better. Why can't you just be normal?" This voice doesn't motivate you, it punishes you, and the punishment only deepens the anxiety. The fix is not to silence the voice, but to change its role. When the critic appears, name it out loud. That's the anxious voice speaking. By naming it, you separate yourself from it. You realize, I am not my thoughts. I am the one who hears them. And in that small space, you regain power. When anxiety creeps in, many of us fight it by keeping busy. We clean the kitchen. We send emails. We scroll through to-do lists and convince ourselves that if we just stay moving, the worry won't catch us. But busyness is not the same as peace. It's just a louder form of running away. The danger is that this habit never gives your body the signal that it's safe to relax. Your nervous system stays stuck in overdrive. And what begins as mild anxiety turns into exhaustion, burnout, even physical illness. The fix is counterintuitive. When you feel the urge to rush into busyness, try stopping instead. Close your eyes, place a hand on your heart, take 3 deep breaths and remind yourself, I am allowed to rest. Rest isn't weakness. Rest is what tells your body it can finally let go. One of the most common hidden habits when anxiety rises is reaching for something to numb the feeling. For some, it's food. For others, it's alcohol, caffeine, or even endless snacking to take the edge off. And for a moment, it works. The sugar rush, the glass of wine, the extra coffee, it creates a wave of temporary calm. But once that fades, The anxiety doesn't disappear, it comes back stronger, now tangled with guilt, fatigue, or even dependence. Here's the truth: no substance can heal a nervous system that's asking for safety. They can only distract it. The fix: try replacing the craving with presence. Before you reach for the snack, ask yourself, what feeling am I avoiding right now? You'll be surprised how often it's not hunger or thirst, it's loneliness, fear, or fatigue. And when you face the real feeling, instead of numbing it, the grip of anxiety begins to loosen. Another toxic habit of anxiety is seeking reassurance. You ask your partner, "Are you mad at me?" You text your friend, "Do you think I did something wrong?" You Google your symptoms, hoping to see the words, "You're fine." But reassurance is like a drug. Each dose feels calming in the moment, but the effect wears off quickly, leaving you craving the next hit. And the deeper truth: the more you rely on reassurance, the less you trust yourself. Anxiety thrives when you outsource your sense of safety to other people or external answers. The fix is difficult but powerful. Learn to sit with uncertainty. When the urge to ask or Google rises, pause and breathe. Remind yourself, even if I don't know right now, I can handle this moment. Every time you resist the pull of reassurance, you strengthen your inner trust. And that trust is what anxiety fears the most. When anxiety feels overwhelming, the temptation is to withdraw. You cancel plans. You avoid phone calls. You retreat into your room, convincing yourself you'll rejoin the world once you feel better. And at first, solitude feels soothing, but isolation is tricky, because while silence can heal, loneliness can wound. The longer you avoid people, the louder your anxious thoughts become. You start believing them because there's no outside perspective to challenge them. The fix is not to force yourself into a crowd. It's to choose safe connection in small doses. A 5-minute conversation with a trusted friend. A walk outside where you simply smile at a stranger. Even sending one honest message: "I'm having a rough day. Can we talk?" Anxiety shrinks in the presence of real connection, because when someone else's calm nervous system meets yours, your body begins to remember what safety feels like. One of anxiety's most toxic tricks is convincing you that every thought is true. You think, "I'm in danger." You feel, "Something bad will happen." You hear, "I can't handle this." But here's the reality. A thought is not a fact. It's just a sentence your brain produces. Some are helpful, some are lies, and anxiety loves to dress lies in the clothing of truth. When you believe every anxious thought, your body reacts as if danger is real. Even when nothing is wrong, your heart races, your chest tightens, your stomach churns. The fix: start labeling thoughts for what they are: mental events, not prophecies. Instead of "I'm unsafe," reframe: "My anxious brain is telling me I'm unsafe." That small shift creates distance, and in that distance, you'll discover freedom. Because the power was never in stopping the thoughts, it was in learning not to mistake them for truth. Anxiety hates uncertainty. It wants answers now. It demands certainty, guarantees, control. So you spend hours searching for proof. You reread texts, trying to decode meaning. You replay conversations to see if you made a mistake. You check locks, doors, and alarms again and again. But here's the painful truth: life is uncertainty. The more you try to eliminate it, the more anxious you become. The fix is to practice tolerating uncertainty in small steps. Allow one unanswered text to sit. Let yourself not know the ending of a story right away. Trust yourself to face tomorrow without solving it tonight. Each time you do, you build resilience, and that resilience is the antidote to anxiety's endless demands for control. Perhaps the most destructive habit of all is shaming yourself for feeling anxious. You tell yourself, "I should be stronger. I should be over this by now. I can't believe I'm still struggling." But here's the truth most people never hear. Anxiety is not a character flaw. It is your nervous system asking for safety. When you shame yourself, you double the burden. You carry the anxiety and the guilt for having it. No wonder you feel crushed. The fix: compassion. Next time shame rises, place your hand over your heart and say, "Anxiety is not weakness, it's a signal. My body is asking me to listen." Compassion doesn't erase anxiety instantly, but it softens it, and in that softness, healing begins. Why do we fall into these toxic habits in the first place? Because in the moment, they work. Scrolling, numbing, seeking reassurance, they all give a flash of relief. And our brains learn relief equals safety. But the relief is temporary, and what calms you in the moment often chains you in the long run. Awareness is the first step, because once you can see the habit clearly, you can no longer pretend it's helping you. You can begin to choose differently. Now, hearing all 10 habits at once may feel overwhelming. You might be thinking, where do I even begin? Here's the good news. You don't need to fix all of them right now. You don't need to conquer anxiety in a single day. What you need is one small shift. Choose the habit that felt the heaviest as you listened. The one that made you think, "That's me." And for the next week, focus only on that one, not perfectly, but gently. Each time the habit shows up, practice the new response instead. That one change will ripple further than you realize. Healing from anxiety isn't about never feeling anxious again. It's about changing your relationship with it. Instead of fearing the wave, you learn to ride it. Instead of fighting the thoughts, you learn to observe them. Instead of running from uncertainty, you learn to trust yourself in it. This is how healing really happens, not in the absence of anxiety, but in your growing ability to live with it differently. And every time you choose presence over panic, compassion over shame, trust over control, you build a new pattern, and those patterns, repeated daily, become peace. So here's what I want you to remember. Anxiety is not a sign that you're broken. It's not proof that you're failing. It's simply your body saying, "Please take care of me." And yes, the habits we explored today can make anxiety worse. But the moment you notice them, you already begin to take their power away. Peace isn't built in one dramatic moment. It's built in 100 small choices. To rest instead of rush, to breathe instead of scroll, to comfort yourself instead of criticize, to trust instead of demand certainty. Tonight, when your mind starts to race, pause, place a hand on your heart, and whisper to yourself, "I am safe in this moment." Because the truth is, you don't need to wait for a future without anxiety to live in peace. You can begin right here, right now, one breath at a time. Before we close, there's one truth you need to hear. Every toxic habit we've talked about has a hidden cost. Overthinking steals your time. Busyness steals your rest. Scrolling steals your presence. Self-criticism steals your confidence. Isolation steals your connections. And when you add them up, what's left? A life that feels smaller than it really is. Anxiety's greatest trick is not the fear itself. It's the way it convinces you to live less. Less joy, less connection, less freedom. But here's the secret. You don't need to win against anxiety in a single battle. You only need to win in the small choices, moment by moment, and each time you choose presence, compassion, or connection, you reclaim a piece of the life anxiety tried to steal. So as you finish this video, don't rush to remember every habit, every solution. Instead, just carry one thought with you. Peace isn't waiting in the future. It begins here, in this breath, and the next, and the next. When your chest tightens tonight, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, I don't have to fix everything. I just have to return to this moment. And if you return often enough, that moment will become your home.